Today, we're diving into a project that's trying to do something pretty huge. It's called World Mobile Token, and it's not just another crypto coin. Nope, this one has a massive real-world goal: building a global mobile network to connect the billions of people who are still offline. So how on earth are they planning to pull that off?
So let's start with the big why. I mean, in a world where we can order anything to our doorstep in minutes, it's kind of hard to believe that a massive chunk of the global population has zero internet access. Why haven't the big telecom companies already fixed this?
Well, as you might guess, it all boils down to money. It is ridiculously expensive to build those giant cell towers or lay miles and miles of fiber optic cable. For the big corporations, if they look at a remote village, the math just doesn't work out. The return on investment isn't there. And that leaves behind this giant connectivity gap, a digital divide that separates a huge part of the world from the rest of us. And this is exactly where World Mobile comes in with a totally different playbook. Instead of that old-school, top-down corporate approach, they're building what they call a people-powered network. Sounds cool, right? But what does that actually mean in practice?
The whole thing is built on this concept called DePIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It completely flips the traditional model on its head. Instead of one giant company owning all the towers and cables, DePIN lets regular people and communities build, own, and run their own little pieces of the network. And the best part? They get paid for doing it.
So the network itself has two main parts. First, you've got the air nodes. You can think of these as the boots on the ground, local folks setting up the gear that provides that last mile of connection to their neighbors. Then you have the earth nodes. These are the big guns, the secure backbone of the whole system, handling all the important stuff like authentication and communication on the blockchain. So one handles the local connection, the other keeps the entire network running smoothly and securely. Okay, so you've got this awesome decentralized network run by the people, but for an economy like this to actually work, you need some kind of fuel to make it all go round. And that's where the World Mobile Token, or WMTX, comes in. It's pretty much the economic engine for the entire ecosystem.
So this token wears a few different hats. First, it's what people actually use to pay for things like data, calls, or texts. Super simple. Second, it's the reward that gets paid out to all those AirNode and EarthNode operators for keeping the network online. Third, if you hold the token, you can stake it, which helps secure the network, and in return, you earn more tokens. And finally, the big vision is for it to be a key that unlocks other services, things like microfinance or online education, all through this new connection.
Now, the project made a pretty big change recently. It originally launched as WMT on the Cardano blockchain. But to really grow and bring in more people, it needed to be available in more places. So they started this migration over to WMTX, which is a multi-chain token. The strategy here is pretty straightforward. Build bridges to major blockchains like Ethereum and BNB. Why? To get in front of way more users and to make the token easier to buy, sell, and use. So that's the grand vision and the tech behind it. But how is it all holding up in the real world? Let's take a look at some of the numbers and see what the community is actually saying about it, both the good and the bad. Here's just a quick snapshot. Right now, the price of the token is sitting around 8 cents. And the total value locked, that's basically a measure of how much money is staked in the system, is about $1.2 million. Now, to give you some perspective, that's a decent chunk of change, for sure. But it also shows that this is still a pretty young project compared to some of the giants out there. It's up and running, but it definitely has a lot of room to grow. And this quote really hits the nail on the head when it comes to why people are so excited about this. It's pretty clear that for a lot of supporters, this isn't just about watching a price chart. They're genuinely invested in the mission. The idea that this is a crypto project with a tangible, positive impact on the world, well, that's a really powerful story. But, it's not all praise. While people absolutely love the social mission and the real-world utility, there are definitely some real concerns floating around, too. Some people are worried about the token's really high total supply, which could maybe put downward pressure on the price down the line. And like with any project that gets some attention, there's always the risk of scammers creating fake apps and trying to trick people. So let's look to the future. The project has laid out a pretty ambitious roadmap. What are the big things they're trying to achieve by 2026? It looks like 2026 is going to be a massive year for them. They're planning to launch a permissionless mainnet, which is a total game changer. It means anyone, anywhere, can set up a node and join the network without needing permission from some central authority. That's true decentralization. They're also talking about 5G deployment using stratospheric platforms. We're talking antennas on high-altitude balloons, basically, to cover huge areas without building a single tower. Throw in an integration with the Coinbase Smart Wallet to make it easier for people to join, plus a focus on renewable energy, and yeah, that's a heck of a vision. Okay, so an ambitious roadmap is one thing, but actually executing it is a whole different ballgame. It's really important to balance that vision with a realistic look at the pretty significant challenges that World Mobile is going to have to navigate to make all of this a reality. And there are a few big hurdles. First up, security is everything. They have to constantly be on guard to protect their users from scams and fake apps. Then there's the token itself. Price volatility and the current level of liquidity could pose a challenge. And let's not forget, building a global telecom network is insanely complex, especially when you have to deal with different regulations in every country. Even that move to multi-chain, while strategic, can be pretty confusing for people who aren't super deep into crypto. So I guess we're left with this massive question. World Mobile is clearly way more than just another token. It's a huge experiment trying to fundamentally change how we connect our world. But its success depends on so many things: the tech, the regulations, and most importantly, getting millions of real people to actually use it. Is this the blueprint for the future of connectivity, or is it a noble, high-risk, high-reward gamble? That's the thought I'll leave you with. Thanks for tuning in.